Thank you, Alex. Excellencies and dear colleagues, I take this opportunity to thank Jordan, the Ambassador of Jordan, and all the organizers of the Second Dialogue on Faith, Peacebuilding and Development for organizing this as part of the United Nations activities to commemorate the World Interfaith Harmony Week. The preamble of UNESCO Constitution states, and I quote, "Since wars begin in the minds of men and women, it is in the minds of men and women that the defenses of peace must be constructed." End of quote. If one looks at the noble teachings and doctrines of all major religions, faiths, beliefs practiced today, you will find each of them advocating for ways and means of achieving self-discipline, both mental and physical. Peace and security, fundamental rights, and sustainable development are the cornerstones of any stable and prosperous society. It is, in fact, the basis on which the United Nations has been founded and on which it strives today. However, the concept of peace building first gained unprecedented international focus in the 1992 report of An Agenda for Peace by former UN Secretary General Boutros Ghali, which characterized peace building as an action, as I quote, "an action to identify and support structures which will tend to strengthen and solidify peace in order to avoid a relapse into conflict," end quote. The importance of generating the sense of national ownership and capacity building at all strata of society to manage conflicts was deemed important, as well as collective endeavors by both state and non-state stakeholders. It is to realize this aim that the UN General Assembly, through Resolution 60/80 and simultaneous Security Council Resolution 1645 of 2005, mandated a peace-building commission to bring together all relevant actors to marshal resources and to advise on and propose integrated strategies for post-conflict peace building and recovery. These resolutions also highlighted the need to have women playing a role in these processes. Besides the Agenda for Development in the 1990s, in adopting the UN 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development Goals, we in particular agreed for Goal 16 to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. In doing so, we agreed to significantly reduce all forms of violence and related death rates everywhere. 16.1. Promote the rule of law at national and international levels and ensure equal access to justice for all. 16.3. Develop effective, accountable, and transparent institutions at all levels. 16.6. Ensure responsive, inclusive, participatory, and representative decision-making at all levels. 16.7. And to ensure access to information and protect fundamental freedom in accordance with national legislation and international agreements. 16.10. In all of the above, we see a clear connection to build harmony, transparency, and coherence in national endeavors in the building of culture of peace. Resolution 53/243 of September 1999 and all related resolutions that followed have firmly paved the way for celebrating this week as World Interfaith Harmony Week, which are essential elements for peace and development. It is within this context, in sharing my perspective on faith, peace building, and development, that it is natural that I reflect, as you said, Mr. Chairman, on the practice in my country, Sri Lanka, which is multi-religious, besides being multi-ethnic, multilingual, and multicultural. Sri Lanka embraced Buddhism with the arrival of Arahat Mahinda in the 2nd century before Christ, and Buddhism, a philosophy, a religion, and a way of life, is predominantly followed by Sri Lankans, while a significant number of adherents of Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity also are in the country. These religious communities have lived together in harmony with one another for centuries, if not millennia. The teachings of Buddhism, including the concept of metta, karuna, mudita and upekka, namely the contemplations of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy and equanimity, which set out the conduct of a person towards other living beings, has been interwoven into the fabric of our society through several millennia, passed from one generation to another, setting our social norms and our way of life. A central principle of Hinduism is the interconnectedness of all living beings, and the concept, not dissimilar to that of Buddhism, of ahimsa, respect for all living beings and the avoidance of violence towards others. Similarly, a core teaching of Islam states that a person cannot be complete believer unless he loves for his brother what he loves for himself, an essential pronouncement of love towards common humanity. The core of Christianity is considered in its pronouncement to love thy neighbor as thyself. Therefore, the universality of humanity and ahimsa is deeply ingrained into the Sri Lankan culture along with philanthropy and sharing. Thus, religion has played a significant aspect in the daily lives of the people of Sri Lanka and is given pride and place in many of our social interactions. The significance that religion plays is recognized by the public as well as the government. Since becoming an independent country in 1948, once again, many of our national events, with the blessings of successive governments, have integrated multi-religious observances, such as in commemoration of Independence Day or the commencement of the first working day of the new year. As a result, it has become an unwritten rule for all major national events under the patronage of the government to involve the participation of religious leaders of all four main faiths and religions, namely Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam and Christianity. And it is a unique sight to see the leaders of all the main religions being seated together and invoking the blessings on the country and the people at these events. In addition, in recognition of the equality of religion, several public holidays have been declared over the decades in respect of major events associated with the four religions. These include commemoration of Vesak, Ramzan, Deepavali and Christmas, and irrespective of one's denomination, all enjoy the same holidays. No one can doubt that a peaceful society is a necessary condition for the development of a country. And as a country which witnessed the harmful effects of a three-decade-long conflict, which inflicted heavy damage on the economy and the society as a whole, the government of Sri Lanka is committed to ensure that the country moves forward without a recurrence of the past. To this end, the National Unity Government of Sri Lanka, which was elected in 2015, January, under the leadership of President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, has prioritized national reconciliation and sustainable development in the government's program of agenda. Several important measures have been pursued by the government in this regard. Creating conducive conditions for inter-ethnic and inter-religious harmony, particularly focusing on children and youth at schools, integrating the concept of national recognition, reconciliation and integration into religious education in building mutual trust, empathy, respect among children, and in this way, children from different ethnic and religious minorities will be prepared to accept each other and see the common values that bind us together instead of what sets us apart. In other words, the children will understand that diversity is not a threat, but something that must be valued. We have also, in the constitution which we currently have, and even more in the draft constitution which is under preparation, paid a lot of emphasis on how we could strengthen religious and cultural and linguistic affinity, which we feel is a real true way of building integration in the country. Sri Lanka is also proud of its well-established system of religious schools associated with Buddhist, Hindu, Islam and Christian teaching, and these are state-sponsored with financial and material contributions from the government. Teachers in these schools are well trained and that is monitored, and in the religious teachings, and these schools often held over the weekend teach children from anything from 5 to 18 years. These religious schools have made a positive contribution to the society over the decades by inculcating the youth with the values and teachings of each faith that are being promulgated by them. As such, these schools could be used as the vehicles for promotion of tolerance, mutual acceptance and respect for differences, which could act as a bridge to build a peaceful and stable society by integrating teachings of other main religions and building networks with each other. Therefore, as Sri Lanka progresses towards development and prosperity, we are equally conscious of the solid framework that faith and religion could provide, and will be leveraging the religions as vehicles of peace to contribute to this process. The practices in Sri Lanka are naturally not unique and reflect those of other parts of the world. But the practices in Sri Lanka also lend themselves to replication worldwide, and that is something which I wish to commend to all of you today. I thank you.